Now, in order to increase the country's sugar production, Nigeria has partnered with Chinese firm Sinopec to acquire a $1 billion investment. A memorandum of understanding with the National Sugar Development Council formalizes the partnership, which will be centered on working together to establish a large-scale sugarcane production and processing enterprise in Nigeria. Irate Nigerians are venting about being locked out of their accounts on the online financial platform CBEX. Now, videos are being shared online by users who expressed worry that their money is lost. In the southwest city of Ibadan, some clients looted a CBEX office, removing chairs, air conditioners, and a solar panel in the process. CBEX had assured investors that the funds will double each month and is yet to make any public statements around the scenario. Nigeria's headline inflation rate has risen to 24.23% in March 2025. Now, according to latest figures from the National Bureau of Statistics, this is what it reflects. It marks a significant rise from February 2025, when the inflation rate stood at 23.18%, reflecting mounting pressure on household incomes and the cost of living. Now, a report by the NBS showed price rises from food and non-alcoholic beverages being the biggest contributors to annual inflation. Joining me now to discuss this further is Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu. Good morning to you, Mr. Chika. It's great to see you. Very well, thanks. And you?
How are we today?
Great. Well, let's begin with Nigeria's inflation rate rising to 24.23% in March 2025. What immediate measures can the government implement to alleviate the burden of Nigerians?
You know, with the rebased inflation figures, sometimes it's become difficult to even analyze Nigerian inflation because we don't know where it starts now, where it ends. But be that as it may, a lot of analysts have said it, that the kind of figures that have been shown out by MBS do not reflect what is on the street. At the time, they were saying inflation was falling, but we know that prices were rising. So what is pushed up now for March is reflects what we have been feeling for some time now, that inflation is still very strong there. I don't know how much shopping that you do on the streets or the markets. You find that a lot of times you go out there, the things that you bought last month at a particular price, sometimes have moved up by 50%. And so we know that inflation is out there. At the height of this issue of inflation, the government came out with a lot of initiatives. I've got to talk about it here. Maybe that time it was like basically to mount them so that Nigerians would just calm down. They thought about the fact that the food inflation was driving inflation, so they were going to open the gate so that there'll be importation of food. Now, we don't know, how far that has happened, because all that I've read is there was some contending interest that didn't want that to happen because it's going to conflict with the policy of making sure Nigeria produces what it eats. But the issue then was let us tame the inflation and improve the standard of living of Nigerians, because it was hurting them. So that again is very important. But we know the underlying issues. The underlying issues continue to remain the fact that a lot of areas in the food belt of the country are under the scourge of insecurity. A lot of the roads, even for moving supply, the food down to the south, are also not motorable. So the things to be done are there. We know them. And something about commentary about Nigeria is that the solutions are always there. The plans are always there. But the will to implement is always a problem for us. So inflation, we know what to do. So, it's not done. The cities continue to suffer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're saying there's no point being a dead horse. You already know what to do. It's about get into it.
If you look at core inflation, which is higher than food inflation this time, we thought about transport. At that time they thought about compressed gas, and there was a hoopla. There was so much noise about state governments, buses on the streets and everything. How has that happened?
Right, and there's always quite a lot of noise around it, many times, and that's what it is. Well, let's look next at the digital investment platform CBEX that is allegedly, collapsed, leading to 1.3 trillion Naira in investor losses. Regulatory oversights.
You see, we have done so much, and so many times on this program, public service announcements on Ponzi schemes. I've screamed, I've shouted, I've thought, but we won't give up. We won't give up. Now, look at, they thought about 1.3 trillion. That's what they say. Do you know that the profit of Zenith 2024 was 1.3 trillion? GT was just about a little below, about the same figure. UBA was, so, I mean, the whole 1 year profit of banks, or the two top banks in Nigeria, they lost it, were lost in this scam. But we'll talk several times about Ponzi schemes in this program. And we said, what are the triggers? We taught Nigerians what Ponzi schemes are. That in this environment, what you see, these are fraudulent scams, investment scams being pushed out there, where they promise money, returns are out of whack, that you can't get in this environment. As you read in your rundown, you said they will promise to double the money every month. Please, my brothers and sisters in Nigeria, what business will you be doing that will just be doubling that? So we know the triggers for things like this, and there are scams. And so what happens is that as far as new money is coming into that investment scheme, everything's okay. So because they are paying those who came in earlier with the new money. Once there's a problem along the chain, like money stops coming through the pipeline, less money keep coming in, the whole pyramid collapses. That's why sometimes I call pyramid scheme, because the whole pyramid collapses. And so what do we talk about? We know that these things happen when there's a poverty in the land. There's a linear relationship between when the higher the poverty, the higher you have the people trying to find shortcuts to wealth. So it's not surprising that it's going to happen. But the issue is, how do you stop them from happening? How do you every time stop Nigerians from falling for this kind of scam? And so that is where the Securities and Exchange Commission come in. And for me, I have said it again in this program that they're not doing enough. Because regularly, for example, in that Ibadan, I'm sure they must have a SEC office. This CBEX or whatever they call them didn't start today. Everybody knew about them. Why couldn't they do something about it? The same thing with the FX people, money something in Port Harcourt. SEC had an office in Port Harcourt. Why couldn't they do something about it? So I would suggest that SEC just goes out there regularly, let the National Assembly approve a massive budget for them to go out there, whether it's the schools, the marketplaces, the unions, all the people who fall for this thing, according to talk about it with them. And so a lot of education is required. SEC needs to up its game to make sure that these things don't happen again.
That's going to be very important, for future investor protections. But it's the onus, like you also mentioned, also lies on consumers and Nigerians to do their due diligence. Don't be really swayed.
Let me tell you something.
You drew a direct connection. We're a bit out of time, but very briefly.
Yeah. I have some guy who was very smart who works for me. Why did you get into this thing? Yeah. He said, okay, I just wanted to get in and get out.
Right. So there is that temptation
to do that.
It's not a reflection of
yes,
how smart or stupid you are.
People know about it, but the issue is that SEC has gone to warn people about it.
Well, be more vigilant. To be forewarned, they say, is to be forearmed. Many thanks. Rise business analyst Chika Mbonu for joining us on the Global Report.